The call came at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I remember checking the time because late-night calls usually mean bad news, and this one would prove no different. My sister's name flashed across my phone screen, and I felt that familiar knot in my stomach tighten. I'm Oakley, and this is the story of how I had to destroy my sister to save myself. Oak, are you there? Alina's voice cracked with tears. I could hear shuffling in the background and Michael's distinctive mumbling. We need help. We've been evicted and we have nowhere to go. I sat up in bed, my free hand clutching my comforter. Evicted? What happened to all that money from Dad's? Please, she cut me off. We can explain everything. Can we stay with you? Just for a little while? I should have said no. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to make up an excuse. But 6 years of counseling others through their crises had trained me to be compassionate, even when my gut warned me otherwise. Okay, I heard myself say, but just for a few weeks. They arrived an hour later with 4 suitcases and a box of takeout they insisted on sharing. Michael hugged me too tight, his cologne overwhelming. You're a lifesaver, sis, he said, though we weren't related by anything but paper. The guest room is made up, I said, leading them upstairs. Bathrooms across the hall. I have clients coming tomorrow morning, so I'll need quiet from 9 to noon. Alina touched my arm. You're still doing the therapy thing? Mental health counseling, I corrected. And yes, from my home office now. Right, Michael chimed in, setting down their bags. Must be nice working from home. Plenty of time to, take care of yourself. Something in his tone made me pause, but Alina quickly jumped in. He just means it's great you can set your own schedule. Thank you again, Oak. We won't be any trouble. The first week was deceptively peaceful. They kept to themselves during my client hours, cleaned up after meals, and even brought home groceries once. But by day 8, things started shifting. I found unwashed dishes in the sink when I needed to prepare for a session. Music played just loud enough to be heard through the walls during my calls. Small things, but constant. Sorry about the noise, Alina said when I mentioned it. Michael's applying for jobs online. He needs background music to focus. He's been focusing for 3 hours during my work time. Well, maybe if you didn't need such specific quiet times. She trailed off, giving me that look, the one that suggested I was being unreasonable. That night I heard them through the wall. I wasn't eavesdropping. The house's old pipes carried sound in strange ways, and their voices drifted clearly through the vent in my bedroom. She's getting worse, Alina whispered. Did you see how she arranged all the coffee mugs by color? And she checks the locks 3 times before bed. Document everything, Michael replied. Take videos when you can. We need to build a case that she's not stable enough to live alone. What about her clients? Perfect. If she's really having episodes, she shouldn't be counseling anyone. We're doing everyone a favor, baby. And once we have power of attorney, I lay there listening to them plot and felt something cold and calculating settle into my chest. They thought I was unstable. They wanted my house, my practice, my life. I smiled in the darkness, remembering the security cameras I'd installed last year after a client turned stalker, the ones that recorded audio, the ones Alina and Michael didn't know about. They thought I was crazy? Well, I'd give them exactly what they wanted, a carefully crafted performance of a woman losing control. And while they documented their manufactured evidence, I'd be gathering the real thing. Let them think they're the clever ones. Let them believe I'm falling apart, because while they're watching me, I'll be watching them. And unlike my dear sister and her husband, I know exactly how to play the long game. After all, I counsel people through their darkest moments for a living. I know how the mind works, and more importantly, I know how to make it work for me. The next morning I started my performance. I left my coffee mug in 3 different places before finding it in the microwave. When Alina walked in, I made sure to be talking to myself, just loud enough to be concerning. Need to remember the patterns. Always follow the patterns. Oak? Alina's voice dripped with fake concern. Are you okay? I turned, blinking rapidly. Oh, yes, just thinking out loud about client notes. I fumbled with my mug, letting coffee splash onto the counter. Oops, I'll clean that up later. As I left the kitchen, I caught her pulling out her phone. Perfect. That afternoon, I visited Victoria next door. She'd been my neighbor for 12 years, and more importantly, was a retired judge who had seen every kind of family manipulation possible. They're documenting me, I told her, accepting the tea she offered. Building a case to declare me unfit. Victoria's eyes narrowed. And you're letting them? I'm giving them exactly what they want. I pulled out my phone and played the recording from last night, while collecting everything I need. She listened, her expression hardening. You'll need more than just audio and a good lawyer. Know any? Lewis Griffin, he owes me a favor. She wrote down a number. But Oakley, be careful. Family betrayal can change you. I was already changed. That night I installed small microphones near the common areas, perfectly legal in my own home. I also misplaced my anxiety medication bottle, making sure to seem distressed about it. Have you seen my pills? I asked Michael, deliberately wringing my hands. He looked up from his laptop. The ones you need for your episodes? I don't have episodes, I snapped, then softened my voice. I mean, they're just for general anxiety. Sure, sure, he said, shooting a meaningful look at Alina. Maybe you already took them and forgot? Maybe. I wandered away, knowing they'd search my room later. The real pills were safely at Victoria's house. The next day I met Lewis Griffin at a cafe far from home. He reviewed my evidence while I sipped chamomile tea. They're building a paper trail, he said. But so are we. Keep recording. Act slightly erratic, but nothing that could actually justify intervention. What about my practice? Keep seeing clients. We need witnesses to your professional competence. That afternoon I had 3 sessions. Between them, I caught Alina rifling through my client files. Looking for something? I asked, making her jump. Just tidying up. You seemed overwhelmed lately. She gestured at the organized files. These should be locked up, Oak. Confidential information and all that. They are locked in my office. These are empty folders. Her face fell slightly. Oh, well, better safe than sorry. Later, I checked my hidden camera feed on my phone. Alina was in my bedroom filming my messy closet, which I deliberately disorganized that morning. But then she did something unexpected. She opened my nightstand drawer and pulled out my phone's backup battery. She replaced it with an identical one. I immediately called Marley, my tech-savvy friend from my support group. Can you check something for me? That evening, Marley confirmed my suspicion. The new battery contained a tracking device. Want me to disable it? She asked. No, I replied. Let them think they're winning, but I need a favor. While I was talking to Marley, I heard Alina's voice from my security app. She was in the kitchen with Michael. Look at this, she was saying. I got her talking to her cell phone video, and here's her organizing the spice rack at 3 a.m. Perfect, Michael replied. A few more weeks of this, and we'll have enough to convince any judge she's lost it. Then this house is... He stopped abruptly as I entered the kitchen. They both smiled innocently, but I saw Alina's phone quickly disappear into her pocket. Everything okay? I asked, letting my hands shake slightly as I reached for a glass. Just fine, sis, Michael said. Just fine. I turned away to hide my smile. They thought they were documenting my breakdown. They had no idea they were documenting their own downfall instead. Michael's backpack was a mistake of arrogance. He'd left it unzipped on the kitchen chair while showering, and there it was, a black leather journal practically falling out. My hands didn't even shake as I took photos of every page with my phone. Your sister's getting worse, one entry read. Need to document daily irregularities. Goal. Full power of attorney by month's end. Property value estimated at $425,000. The next page had a crude timeline. Week 1-2, document erratic behavior. Week 3-4, express concern to her therapist. Week 5, file for emergency evaluation. I heard the shower stop and quickly replaced the journal. When Michael came down, I was making toast, my hands deliberately trembling as I spread butter. You okay there, Oak? He asked, his concern as fake as his resume. Just tired. Had trouble sleeping. I dropped the knife. Keep hearing noises at night. What kind of noises? He was already reaching for his phone, like voices, but when I check, no one's there. That afternoon, I sent everything to Lewis. His response came within an hour. They're moving faster than we thought. Meet me tomorrow. But before I could reply, Alina burst into my office during a client session. Oak, emergency! She froze, seeing my client. Oh, sorry. I excused myself briefly. What emergency? Your therapist called. Dr. Harrison? She's really worried about you. My heart skipped. Dr. Harrison hasn't been my therapist for months. What? But Michael just spoke to her about... Alina caught herself. About what, exactly? Nothing. I mean, we're just concerned. You've been so... She gestured vaguely at my office, where sticky notes covered one wall, a perfectly normal therapy technique I used with clients. I'm fine, Alina. Please don't interrupt my sessions again. That night, a memory surfaced as I reviewed my security footage. Dad's study 15 years ago. I was helping him organize his files when 12-year-old Alina stormed in. It's not fair, she'd screamed. Why does Oak get to help? I'm your daughter, too. Oakley understands responsibility, Dad had replied. When you show the same maturity, I hate you both. The door had slammed so hard, pictures fell from the wall. Dad turned to me, his expression tired. Promise me something, Oak. Whatever happens, protect what's yours. Your sister, she takes what isn't hers to take. Present day, Alina's voice drew me back. She was on the phone in the guest room. The therapist was a dead end. I know, Michael, but she switched doctors. Well, find another way. This house should have been mine anyway. Dad always favored her. I texted Lewis. Need to move faster. How soon can you file? His response, give me 48 hours. Keep recording. The next morning, I made a show of missing a client appointment, pacing and checking my watch an hour after they'd left. They were just here, I muttered loudly. I swear they were just here. Alina filmed the whole thing, barely concealing her glee. That afternoon, I visited my real therapist, Dr. Martinez, updating her on everything. She agreed to testify if needed and documented my actual mental state. Perfectly stable and strategic. Returning home, I found Michael in my office. Looking for something? I asked, making him jump. Just checking if you're okay. Alina said you missed an appointment. Did she? Funny. I rescheduled that days ago. I smiled, watching him try to hide his confusion. Must have forgotten to tell her. Later, I overheard them arguing. She's playing us, Michael hissed. No, she's losing it, Alina insisted. Did you see her talking to herself this morning? Then why can't we find any real proof? The therapist, the missed appointment, she's always got an explanation. Keep looking. There must be something we can use. I sent the recording to Lewis, then called Victoria. They're getting desperate. Good, she replied. Desperate people make mistakes, but Oakley. Yes? Are you ready for what comes next? Once we move, there's no going back. No fixing this relationship. I thought of Dad's words, protect what's yours. Some relationships, I said, aren't worth fixing. I invited Aunt Evelyn for dinner, I announced casually over breakfast, watching Alina's spoon freeze halfway to her mouth. What? Why would you do that? Her voice pitched higher than usual. Family healing, I said, deliberately making my hands shake as I poured coffee. Don't you think we need that, after everything with Dad? Michael stepped in, all smooth concern. Oak, are you sure you're up for hosting? You've been struggling lately. I'm fine. Evelyn arrives at 6. I spent the day making my famous lasagna, humming just loud enough to be heard. Through my security feed, I watched Alina pace the guest room, phone pressed to her ear. She invited Evelyn, no, I don't know why. What if she knows about the property downtown? I know we need proof first, but interesting. What property downtown? Evelyn arrived precisely at 6, her silver hair immaculate as always. She hugged me tight, whispering, Victoria filled me in. I'm ready. Dinner started tense. Alina pushed food around her plate while Michael attempted small talk about the housing market. I waited until everyone had wine in hand before starting. So, Evelyn, I said, voice carefully uncertain, I've been having trouble remembering things about Dad's last days. You were there, right? Of course, dear. Evelyn set down her glass. I handled most of his estate planning. Alina's fork clattered. We don't need to discuss this. Actually, Evelyn continued, I've been meaning to ask about the downtown property, the old warehouse. Michael leaned forward. The one Alina inherited? Inherited? Evelyn's eyebrows rose. No, dear. Oakley inherited that property. Your father was quite clear. His downtown holdings went to his eldest. The silence was delicious. I watched color drain from Alina's face as Michael turned to her slowly. But you said, he started. There must be a mistake, Alina cut in. Dad promised me. I have the paperwork right here. Evelyn pulled out an envelope. I always carry copies since you asked about it last month, Michael. Last month? I injected confusion into my voice. You asked about Dad's property? Michael's face hardened. Alina told me she inherited it, said we could sell it to clear our debts. You can't sell what isn't yours, Evelyn said calmly, sliding the document across the table. The warehouse, valued at $850,000, belongs to Oakley. The room spun with unspoken accusations. I watched greed flash in Michael's eyes as he processed the amount, watched Alina's mask crack as she realized her lie was exposed. I need air. Alina pushed back from the table. Sit down. Michael's voice was still. You told me we had collateral for those loans. I let my hands tremble as I reached for the papers. What loans? Alina, what's going on? Nothing, she snapped. You're imagining things, just like you imagine those voices at night. The only thing I'm imagining, I said softly, is why my sister lied about inheriting property she never owned. Because she's desperate, Evelyn supplied. Just like when she tried to convince your father you were unstable 5 years ago. The revelation hit like lightning. I actually hadn't known that part. That was different, Alina protested. Oak was having problems then. No, she wasn't, Evelyn cut in. Your father showed me your emails. That's why he changed his will, made sure Oakley got everything important. He knew you'd try to take it. Michael stood abruptly. I need to make some calls. Michael, wait! Alina hurried after him. In the sudden quiet, Evelyn reached for my hand. You okay? I nodded, listening to the muffled argument upstairs. My security app caught their words clearly. You lied to me, Michael shouted. I was going to figure something out, Alina cried. We just need to speed up the plan. Once we get power of attorney, she's not crazy, Alina. You are. I turned to Evelyn. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, she warned. They're cornered now. Cornered people get dangerous. She was right. Through my phone, I watched Alina grab Michael's arm, her voice desperate. We can still do this. We just need something bigger, something that proves she's completely lost it. I smiled, turning off the feed. Let them plot. The bigger their plan, the harder they'd fall. Everything exploded 3 days after the dinner. I was in my office, deliberately talking to my hidden recorder when Alina burst in. Who are you talking to? She demanded. I jumped, letting papers scatter. Just reviewing client notes. There's no one here. She stalked forward, phone raised. You're talking to yourself again. I was dictating. Stop lying! She snatched something from my desk, my actual recorder. What's this? Are you recording us? I reached for it. Give that back. Why? So you can edit it? Make us sound crazy instead of you? Her voice rose hysterically. I found the microphones, Oak, in the walls in the kitchen. You've been spying on us. Michael appeared in the doorway. What's going on? She's been recording everything. Alina waved the device. She's not sick at all. She's setting us up. I kept my voice calm. You're the one who's been filming me, planning to have me declared unfit. Because you need help, Alina screamed. Look at you, hiding recorders, talking to yourself, spying on everyone. You're paranoid. Says the sister who lied about inheriting property. She lunged at me then, recorder swinging. I ducked, but she caught my arm, nails digging in. You always got everything. Dad's love, his money, this house. It's not fair. Alina, stop. Michael pulled her back. No, she's ruining everything. We need this house, Michael. We need what? I asked softly. My money, my property, my life. You don't deserve any of it. She broke free from Michael, shoving me hard. I stumbled back against my desk, letting myself fall. Look what you made me do, Alina shrieked. This is your fault. I curled up, making myself small, vulnerable, started hyperventilating, a perfect panic attack performance. See? Alina turned to Michael triumphantly. She's breaking down. We need to call someone. Michael helped me up, his touch reluctant. Maybe we should all calm down. Calm down. This is our chance. Look how unstable she is. I let tears flow, gasping for air. Through my blurred vision, I saw Marley slip away from my office window, phone in hand, right on schedule. I'm calling Dr. Martinez, Michael said. Who's Dr. Martinez? Alina demanded. Her therapist is Dr. Harrison. Not for months, I whispered. You'd know that if you'd actually checked. Alina's face contorted. You planned this. Somehow you planned all of this. I straightened up, letting my panic dissolve. Planned what? You attacking me? Admitting you want my house? That was all you, sis. No one will believe you. They will when they see the footage. I pointed to the corner camera she'd missed. And hear the recordings and read the journal where Michael detailed your whole plan. Michael went pale. You found my journal? You're not as clever as you think. I pulled out my phone, showing them the security app. Every conversation, every plot, every admission about the loans you took out using fake property claims. You can't prove, Alina started. My phone chimed, a message from Lewis. Papers filed, officers en route. Actually, I said, I can prove everything. The psychiatric board you contacted this morning, they're reviewing evidence of your attempted fraud, not my mental state. Alina lunged again, but this time I was ready. I sidestepped, letting her crash into my bookshelf. Don't touch me again, I said coldly. The police are already on their way. Police? Michael backed toward the door. Alina, we need to go. No, she whirled on him. This is your fault. Your stupid plan to get her declared unfit. I just wanted what? I asked. To destroy me like you tried with Dad? Blue lights flashed outside. Alina's face crumpled as reality hit her. Oak, please, she whispered. I'm your sister. No, I replied, hearing car doors slam. You're just someone who shares my blood, and after today you won't even share my home. The doorbell rang. Michael ran. Alina sank to the floor, sobbing. And I stood perfectly still, perfectly sane, watching justice finally arrive. The psychiatric evaluation board room felt colder than it needed to be. 5 professionals sat across from me, reviewing files, while Alina and Michael waited outside with their hastily hired lawyer. Ms. Oakley, the head psychiatrist began, your sister has expressed serious concerns about your mental stability. I am aware. I folded my hands calmly. I'm also aware that she and her husband have been orchestrating those concerns. Lewis stepped forward, placing a USB drive on the table. We have extensive evidence of a coordinated attempt to fraudulently establish mental incompetence. The board members exchanged glances as Lewis played the recordings. Alina's voice filled the room. Just keep filming her. We need enough to convince them she's crazy. Then Michael's, once we get power of attorney, we can sell everything, the house, the downtown property. I watched their faces change as the evidence mounted. Security footage showed Alina planting evidence in my office. Michael's journal detailed their timeline for taking control of my assets. And here, Lewis continued, are statements from Dr. Martinez confirming Ms. Oakley's current mental health status and regular therapy attendance. The door burst open. Alina stormed in, her lawyer trying to stop her. You can't trust those recordings. She edited them. The recordings have been authenticated, Lewis stated, by 3 independent experts. She's manipulating everything. Alina turned to the board. Look at her office. Sticky notes everywhere. She talks to herself. I use sticky notes for client session planning, I explained. A common therapy technique. As for talking to myself, I smiled. I was recording case notes. Would you like to hear the originals? Michael appeared in the doorway, looking defeated. Alina, stop, it's over. No, she spun toward me. Tell them about the voices you hear, the paranoia. You mean the conversations I recorded of you and Michael planning this? I pulled out my phone. Or the paranoia you tried to induce by gaslighting me? The head psychiatrist held up her hand. We've heard enough. She turned to Alina's lawyer. Sir, you should advise your clients that filing false mental health claims is a serious offense. This isn't fair. Alina's voice cracked. She's the one who needs help. She installed cameras. She recorded everything. In my own home, I said quietly, after discovering your plan to have me declared incompetent. Would you like to explain the tracking device you put in my phone? Michael grabbed Alina's arm. We need to leave. Now. Actually, Lewis interjected, you need to stay. The police want to discuss the fraudulent loan applications you filed using falsified property documents. The board members began gathering their papers. The head psychiatrist looked at me. Ms. Oakley, you're free to go. We'll be forwarding our findings to the appropriate authorities. This isn't over, Alina hissed as I passed. Actually, it is. I paused at the door. You have 48 hours to move out of my house. Outside, Victoria waited with Marley. How did it go? Exactly as planned. I felt lighter somehow. They're facing fraud charges, possible jail time. Good, Marley said. I've got the rest of their recorded conversations backed up in 3 different places, just in case. Victoria touched my arm. Are you ready for what comes next? Family will take sides. Let them. I watched through the window as Alina sobbed dramatically for her lawyer. The truth has evidence. Their lies only have tears. My phone buzzed. A message from Lewis. Criminal investigation opened. They're looking into Michael's other financial dealings. Another buzz. Police want to interview you about the fraudulent property claims. And another. Judge issued emergency order. They can't come within 500 feet of you or your property. I showed Victoria the messages. She nodded approvingly. The house of cards falls fast once the first lie crumbles. Through the window, I saw Michael arguing with his lawyer, his face ashen. Alina had stopped crying, her expression turning calculating even now. She's still plotting, Marley observed. Let her, I said. Every move she makes now will only dig her grave deeper. Victoria squeezed my hand. Ready to go home? Home, where my cameras waited, where my evidence was safely backed up, where for the first time in weeks I would sleep without worrying about what my sister might do next. Yes, I said, I'm ready. But something in Alina's eyes as she watched me leave said this wasn't quite over. Not yet. Please, just 5 minutes. Alina stood on my porch, makeup streaked with tears. Behind her, Michael waited in their borrowed car, looking haunted. You're violating the restraining order, I said through the security camera speaker. I know, but she pressed her hands against the door. Michael's being charged with fraud. They're investigating everything. We have nowhere to go. That sounds like a you problem. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister when you tried to have me declared mentally unfit. I watched her through multiple camera angles. When you tried to steal my home, when you lied about Dad's property. I can explain everything. She looked directly into the camera. Michael manipulated me. He had all these plans, these schemes. I just went along because you're greedy, I finished, always have been. That's not. Remember when you tried to convince Dad I was unstable 5 years ago? She froze. Yeah, Evelyn told me everything, how you sent him emails claiming I was dangerous, unstable. Sound familiar? You needed what was mine, just like always. I pressed a button activating the outdoor recording system. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave now, or I'm calling the police. You can't do this to me. Actually, I can. And one more thing. I let the pause stretch. I sold the house. What? Closed the deal yesterday. I'm moving to my new place next week. But where will we go when this all blows over? I actually laughed. Blows over? Alina, you're facing criminal charges. Michael's looking at serious prison time for fraud. Nothing's blowing over. She slumped against the door. Just help me this one last time, please. I'll tell the police everything was Michael's idea. Already recording this conversation, sis? Want to try that again? Her face changed then. The mask of desperation fell away, revealing the cold calculation beneath. You think you're so clever, recording everything, playing the victim? No, playing the victor. There's a difference. I'll tell everyone about your breakdown last year. You mean the grief counseling I got after Dad died? Already documented. Try again. She slammed her hand against the door. This house should have been mine. Everything should have been mine. And there it is, the real Alina. I triggered the security lights. You have 30 seconds before the police arrive. They're parked around the corner. You're bluffing. Sirens wailed in the distance. Michael honked frantically from the car. 20 seconds. This isn't over, she snarled, backing away. You think you've won? I'll make sure everyone knows what you did, how you set us up, trapped us. 10 seconds. And Alina? I waited until she looked back. I've recorded this whole conversation. Want to guess where it's going? She ran to the car. As they peeled away, police cruisers rounded the corner, lights flashing. I opened the door for the officers, playing them the fresh recording. They added it to their growing file of evidence. "We'll add witness intimidation charges," one officer said, writing in his notebook. After they left, I walked through my soon-to-be former home. The security cameras caught my smile as I entered each room. Let Alina wonder where I was moving. Let her search. My new house was purchased through a blind trust, its location known only to Victoria and Lewis. My phone buzzed. A message from Marley. "You need to see this. She's writing a Reddit post about you." I checked the link. There was Alina's version of events, painting herself as the victim of a manipulative sister. The comments were already calling out inconsistencies in her story. Another message, this time from Lewis. "Michael's taking a plea deal. He's going to testify against Alina about the fraud schemes." Perfect. I walked to my office where empty boxes waited. The sticky notes were already packed, my clients notified of the new location. Through the window, I could see Victoria's house, where she stood guard like always. My phone buzzed one last time, an unknown number. "Your sister says she has a story to sell. Interested in countering it?" I smiled, typing back, "No need. I have the receipts, all of them." Let Alina try to spin her story. I had the truth, backed by evidence, witnessed by professionals, and documented every step of the way. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just winning, it's winning so completely that your enemy's lies become their own prison. The last box landed with a satisfying thud in my new home office. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, I watched autumn leaves dance across my private driveway, secluded behind automated gates and tall trees. My phone buzzed a news alert. "Local therapist's sister pleads guilty to fraud charges." "Have you seen this?" Marley texted, linking to Alina's latest Reddit post. "She's still trying to spin it." I opened the link. "My sister destroyed my life. The true story." True story. Right. The doorbell rang. Victoria stood there with a housewarming gift in a thick envelope. "Thought you should see these yourself," she said, handing me the envelope. Court documents arrived today. Inside were the final judgments. Michael, sentenced to 4 years for fraud. Alina, 18 months plus restitution. Their appeals denied. "How does it feel?" Victoria asked, watching me read. I searched for the right words. "Like I can breathe again." My phone rang. "Evelyn, you need to read your father's letter," she said without preamble. "What letter?" "The one he left with his will. I was supposed to give it to you if Alina ever tried anything like this." An hour later, I sat in my new office, Dad's familiar handwriting before me. "My dearest Oak, if you're reading this, your sister has finally shown her true colors. You always knew she would. The day she tried to convince me you were unstable, I realized she'd never stop trying to take what's yours. You were always stronger than her, smarter, not because I favored you, but because you worked for everything while she tried to steal it. I'm sorry I didn't stop her sooner. I'm sorry you have to deal with this now. But I know you'll win. You always do. Love, Dad." The doorbell rang again. Lewis stood there with a tablet. "Your sister's interview just dropped online, but there's something else you should see." He showed me the comments section, hundreds of responses calling out inconsistencies in Alina's story. People sharing similar experiences with family betrayal. Support messages for me. "The truth wins," Lewis said simply. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "This is Michael. I know you won't forgive us, but you should know. Alina was planning this for years, even before your father died. I'm sorry I helped her." I blocked the number without responding. Victoria touched my arm. "You've won, completely. But at what cost?" "Cost?" I walked to my window, looking at my new sanctuary. I lost a sister I never really had, gained a strength I never knew I needed. And your heart is finally protected. I turn to her. I counsel people through trauma every day, help them find their strength. It was time I found mine. Marley burst in, laptop open. Alina's Reddit post got removed for misinformation. And look, her interview backfired. People are sharing your court documents in the comments. My phone lit up with a final message from Evelyn. Your father would be proud, not of what happened, but of how you handled it. You protected yourself without becoming cruel. That's the real victory. I looked around my new office. The sticky notes were already arranged, client files organized. Tomorrow I'd start seeing patients again, people who needed help finding their own strength. You know what the best revenge is? I asked my friends. What? Living well, building something stronger from the ashes of what they tried to burn. Victoria raised her coffee cup to living well. And to truth, Lewis added, and to security cameras. Marley chimed in, making us laugh. I joined their toast, feeling lighter than I had in months. Alina had tried to declare me unfit, but she'd only proved her own unfitness for family. Michael had tried to steal my home, but only secured his prison cell. And me? I'd learned that sometimes the family you choose, like these friends around me, is stronger than the family you're born with. My phone buzzed one last time, a client confirmation for tomorrow morning. Time to get back to helping others find their strength. After all, that's what Dad always said I was best at. And this time I was doing it from a position of hard-won wisdom. Trust your instincts. Keep your evidence and never let anyone make you doubt your own truth. The end.